It's about 2 miles back from where I'm standing here. It's very similar to Beach Creek as the homes are spread out and there is a lot of land. It's also close to the Greene County line. We did reach out to Don and Candace after the TBI confirmed a recent search in their daughter's case.
Hello everyone. My name is Joseph, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the investigation. And welcome back to what might be the most difficult, the most heartbreaking, and yet the most important conversation we have ever had together. I need you to do something for me right now. I need you to stop what you are doing. If you are driving, pull over. If you are working, put the pen down. If you are scrolling, stop scrolling. I need you to really, truly listen to me. Because for 4 long years, we have been wandering in the dark. We have been lost in a forest of shadows. We have been chasing rumors. We have been arguing about theories. We have been fighting over what-ifs and maybes. But today, the darkness is breaking. Today, the fog is lifting. And what we are seeing, what is finally becoming clear, is not a theory anymore. It is not a guess. It is the truth. And I have to be honest with you. The truth is more terrifying, more chilling, and more real than any of us could have ever imagined. For 4 years, we have looked at the face of Summer Wells on those missing posters. You know the face, that smile, those eyes. We have looked at her, and we have asked the same question over and over again. Where are you? How did you just vanish? How does a little girl disappear from the face of the earth in less than 5 minutes? How does a child just evaporate into thin air? We finally have the answer. And it breaks my heart to say it. It makes my stomach turn to say it. But we have to say it. We owe it to her to say it. Newly confirmed information that changes the entire landscape of this case, reveals that the FBI has officially tracked down a specific vehicle. We are not talking about a mysterious white van anymore. We are not talking about a phantom sedan that nobody saw clearly. We are done with the vague descriptions. We are done with the maybe it was a truck theories. We are talking about a red Toyota Tacoma. Let that sink in. A red Toyota Tacoma. And we don't just know the truck. We know who owned it. It was owned by a tree trimmer named Randy, a man who is now directly, undeniably linked to the property on Van Hill Road. A man who was there. A man who had access. A man who walked the same ground that Summer walked. But here is the part that makes me sick. Here is the part that keeps playing over and over in my head. Here is the part that tells me, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this was not an accident. This was not a mistake. This truck, this red Toyota Tacoma, was sold in 2022. Think about that. Please, I beg you, just think about what that means. Summer vanished in June of 2021. The entire world was watching. The police were everywhere. The roadblocks were up. The helicopters were in the sky. The media trucks were lined up on Ben Hill Road. The pressure was immense. And then, a few months later, just as the heat starts to die down, just as the cameras start to pack up and leave, just as the world starts to look away, the truck is sold. Why? Why would you sell your truck? Why would you get rid of your vehicle right after a child goes missing in the area where you work? Why would you sell your livelihood? You only do that if you are hiding something. You only do that if that truck holds secrets that you can never let anyone see. You only do that if you know that if the police look too closely at those tires, or look too closely at that bed, they are going to find something that puts you away for the rest of your life. This isn't just a coincidence, guys. This isn't just a guy upgrading his ride. This is a cover-up. This is the definition of a cover-up. This is someone scrubbing the timeline. This is someone trying to erase the past. And we know this because this vehicle tip, this specific tip about the red Tacoma, is exactly what prompted the FBI to raid the property on Van Hill Road in November of 2025. You remember that search. We all remember that search. It was massive. It was intense. They had teams out there for days. They were digging. They were searching. They brought in the heavy equipment. At the time, we didn't know why. We thought maybe they were just checking a box. We thought maybe they were just following up on a loose end. But they weren't just checking a lead. They were hunting. They were hunting for that truck. They were hunting for traces of that red Toyota Tacoma. They were hunting for traces of summer that might have been left behind by that truck. And this brings me to the neighbor. This brings me to Jody Sue. I want to take a moment right now to apologize to Jody Sue. I think we all owe her an apology. The internet owes her an apology. The media owes her an apology. For years, people called her crazy. People mocked her. People made videos analyzing her body language and calling her a liar. People said she was making it up to get famous. People said she just wanted attention. But Jody Sue told us, from the very beginning, from day one, that she saw a red flash on that driveway. She stood there and she told the world. She didn't say she saw a ghost. She didn't say she saw a monster in the woods. She didn't say she saw a UFO. She said she saw a red vehicle speeding down that driveway. A red flash. Think about that description. A flash. That means speed. That means urgency. That means someone driving fast in a place where you are supposed to drive slow. And now, looking at the red Toyota Tacoma, we realize she was right. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't lying. She was the witness. She was the one person who saw the truth. She was the one person who saw the abduction happening in real time. And we ignored her. We dismissed her. We laughed at her. That haunts me. It truly haunts me deep in my soul. Because if we had listened to her, if the police had listened to her back in 2021, if they had put out a bolo for a red Toyota Tacoma instead of looking for a white van, could we have stopped that truck? Could we have found it before it was sold in 2022? Could we have intercepted it? Could we have brought Summer home? I don't know the answer to that. And that question, that what if, is going to keep me up at night for the rest of my life. It is the tragedy within the tragedy. The truth was staring us in the face, and we blinked. But this new focus on the vehicle, it explains everything else. It makes the puzzle pieces finally fit together. It explains the dogs. We have to talk about the dogs. The scent dogs. The ones that never lie. The ones that don't have an agenda. The ones that don't care about YouTube views or news ratings. The dogs picked up Summer's scent at the house. They tracked her down the hill. They tracked her to the edge of the driveway. They tracked her to the road. And then, they stopped. The scent didn't fade away gently. It didn't wander off into the woods. It didn't loop back to the house. It stopped. It terminated. Why? Physics. Biology. A scent trail stops for one reason only. The source of the scent left the ground. The dogs didn't track her into the woods because she wasn't in the woods. They didn't track her to a cave because she wasn't in a cave. They tracked her to the asphalt. And then the scent was gone because she was lifted. Because she was put into a vehicle. Because she was taken away in a red Toyota Tacoma. It fits. It fits so perfectly that it hurts. It hurts to realize that the science was telling us the truth the whole time, and we were too distracted to see it. But, and this is where the investigation gets messy. This is where we have to be critical thinkers. This new truth conflicts with the old lies. We were told about footprints. Do you remember? We were told about child-sized footprints found down the road. We were told about scent hits in the woods miles away. If she was in the truck, if she was in the red Tacoma speeding away, how could she be walking down the road? How could she be leaving footprints in the mud miles away? She couldn't. You cannot be in two places at once. You cannot be in a truck and in the woods at the same time. That means the footprints were a lie. That means the footprints were a distraction. That means the footprints were a red herring. Does that mean someone planted them? Does that mean someone walked down that road with a child's shoe to make tracks? Or does it mean they were simply misidentified? I don't know. But I know this. The footprints kept us looking in the woods. The footprints kept the search parties in the ravines. The footprints kept the drones flying over the trees. And while we were staring at the ground, looking for footprints that led nowhere, looking for a ghost, Randy was driving away. Randy was selling his truck. Randy was erasing the evidence. The timeline is the key. And the timeline is what terrifies me the most about this whole situation. If Randy drove that red Tacoma up the driveway, he had to know he could. Have you seen that driveway? Have you seen the drone footage? It is steep. It is narrow. It is winding. It is private. You don't just drive up there by accident. You don't just pull in to turn around. It is a commitment to drive up that hill. If a tree trimmer was up there, he was either there to work, or he was there because he knew the family. He knew the schedule. He knew the routine. He knew that for those 5 critical minutes, those few minutes where Candace was planting flowers, where Grandma was in the camper, where the boys were inside, he knew that no one would stop him. Was it a pre-arranged meeting? Was he called there? Did someone signal him to come up the hill? I don't want to believe that. I really don't. It makes my heart ache to even consider it. But we have to look at the facts. We have to look at the reality. We cannot look away just because it is ugly. If he was a tree trimmer, why was he there if no trees were being trimmed? Why was he there on that specific day at that specific time? And the reality leads us to the destination. It leads us to Van Hill Road. It leads us to the property owned by Paul Hill. And I have to say this. I have to say what this property is. I have to be blunt. It is a pig farm. I know. I know how that sounds. I know what images that puts in your head. I know it makes you want to close your eyes and cover your ears. It makes me want to scream. It makes me want to cry. But we have to face it. If the investigation has shifted to a pig farm, if the FBI is searching a pig farm, it explains why we haven't found her. It explains why there is no body. It explains why there is no clothing. It explains why there is no DNA. It explains the silence. It explains why Detective John Pute looked so broken in 2022. Do you remember that interview? Do you remember the look in his eyes? He didn't look like a detective who was working a lead. He looked like a man who had lost hope. He looked like a man who was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He looked like a man who knew the truth but couldn't prove it. He knew. I believe he knew back then that they had missed the truck. He knew that the trail had gone cold. He knew that the evidence had been destroyed. He knew that while they were chasing their tails in the woods, the real evidence was being sold and scrubbed. And it broke him. It broke his spirit. But now, we have a second chance. Now, the truth is surfacing. This information about the red Tacoma. It is the breakthrough we have been praying for. It is the light in the darkness. It is the thread that unravels the whole sweater. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has been playing games with us. For years, they have said maybe she wandered off, maybe she was abducted. They refused to take a stand. They refused to commit. They played both sides. But they can't play games anymore. Not with this. Not with a specific truck. Not with a specific name. Not with a paper trail of a sale in 2022. We have to reevaluate everything. Every witness statement. Every timeline. Every alibi. We have to choose. We have to make a choice right now. Do we believe the footprints? Or do we believe the truck? I choose the truck. I choose the truck because it is the only thing that makes sense. I choose the truck because it explains the dogs. I choose the truck because it vindicates the neighbor. I choose the truck because it explains the 2022 sale. And I choose the truck because I refuse to believe that a little girl just walked into the woods and vanished. I refuse to believe that she beat the dogs. I refuse to believe she beat the heat sensors. Summer Wells was taken. She was taken by a man in a red Toyota Tacoma. A man named Randy. A man who thought he got away with it. A man who thought that by selling his truck, he was selling his guilt. But he didn't get away with it. Because we know. Now we know. The internet knows. The world knows. And we are coming for him. The truth is coming for him. I need you to help me. I need you to be part of this army. I need you to share this video. I need you to tell everyone you know about the red Toyota Tacoma. Maybe someone saw it. Maybe someone bought it in 2022. Maybe someone knows Randy. Maybe someone remembers a tree trimmer acting strange in the summer of 2021. We can solve this. We can finally bring justice to Summer. We can finally bring peace to that little girl. My name is Joseph, and I am not going to stop. I am not going to rest. I am not going to let this go. Until we find that truck. Until we find the truth. Until we find Summer. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for not forgetting her. Please, pray for Summer. And pray for justice. I will see you in the next one.